Hey everyone, and welcome. So today, we're diving into a story that completely flips the script on how we think about our weaknesses. You know, the stuff the world might look at and just immediately call a limitation? We're going to see how that can actually be cultivated into a profound strength. I'm really glad you're here for this explainer because it's not just a feel-good story, it's a literal blueprint for reframing our own potential. We're going to break down the life of a guy who totally changed how people experience music, and he did it not despite what he lacked, but exactly because of it.
Think about this for a second. What if the exact thing people point to as your biggest weakness was actually your greatest strength? Crazy thought, right? Most of us spend our lives just wishing we had more. More talent, more money, a better starting line. But our case study today is about a man named Victor, and Victor had less. Actually, he couldn't even see the world at all. Yet he somehow taught thousands of people how to truly hear it. This is the story of the blind piano tuner that everyone underestimated and how he turned absolute silence into a symphony.
All right, Section 1, the silent world. Losing sight, gaining sound. So picture this. Victor is just 8 years old when he loses his eyesight to a really serious illness. At 8? For months, he firmly believed his world had just permanently shrunk. He couldn't read the sky, couldn't watch birds fly, couldn't even see his own mother's smile anymore. The walls had just closed in. But then, one evening, his grandfather sits him down next to this beat-up old piano. And rather than offering pity, he just reaches out and presses a single key.
And that one keystroke, it led to this incredible exchange. His grandpa tells him, "Close your eyes." And Victor actually laughs. He says, "They're already closed." But his grandfather just smiles and replies, "Exactly. Now listen." That simple little instruction to just listen completely awakened Victor's ears. The note just hung there in the air, and he realized that while his eyes had gone totally silent, his hearing had suddenly, vibrantly come alive. That one moment changed the entire trajectory of his life.
Moving on to Section 2, the Workshop of Silence, a unique approach to tuning. Fast forward a bunch of years. Customers start bringing their prized, super expensive pianos to Victor. Now, what's really interesting here is the contrast. People walked in expecting this loud, bustling workshop packed with state-of-the-art diagnostic machines, right? Because that's what an expert shop is supposed to look like. But what they actually found were startling. It was just basic, simple tools and complete pin-drop silence. He stripped away all that modern noise to focus entirely on the instrument itself.
And this brings us right to his core philosophy. Victor used to say, "The piano tells me what it needs. Most people simply don't wait long enough to hear it." His process was honestly mesmerizing to watch. He'd gently touch the piano, play a couple of notes, and then he would just pause. He'd listen so deeply before making these tiny, deliberate adjustments. Customers were just floored because their pianos sounded miraculously alive again. He wasn't forcing it. He was practicing this profound patience that, let's be real, most of us completely lack today. Well, that philosophy was seriously put to the test one afternoon. This gifted teenage pianist named Emily walks into his workshop, and she is just shattered. She'd just come in second at a massive national competition and told Victor, "I just don't think I'm good enough." She completely equated second place with total failure. Now, Victor didn't just give her some cheesy pep talk. He quietly asked her to sit down and play for him. And she did. She played the piece absolutely, technically, perfectly. So she finishes this flawless but kind of mechanical performance, and Victor drops this absolute truth bomb on her. He says, "You played every note correctly, but you never played your heart. People remember feelings, not perfection." Emily was a bit stunned at first, but it completely shifted her paradigm. He made her see that chasing this rigid, robotic perfection was actually suffocating her talent. It's the emotion, the raw humanity in the music that actually connects with people. Let's jump to Section 3, the competition, the International Piano Tuning Contest. A few months later, the stakes get way higher. There's this huge international contest, and the challenge is brutal. Every contestant gets the exact same model of a completely neglected grand piano to tune. The best experts from all over the globe are there, but when Victor's name popped up on the roster, people literally scoffed. They were whispering, "A blind tuner? Impossible." They judged him entirely on what he lacked, just assuming he couldn't possibly hang with the world's best. So how does he handle all that prejudice and insane pressure? He just completely ignores it. While all these world-renowned experts are sweating, frantically trying to beat the clock, Victor just sinks right back into his method. Step 1, don't rush. Step 2, listen. Step 3, adjust one string at a time. He tuned out all the noise of the competition and brought that exact same quiet mindfulness from his little shop right onto this massive, stressful stage. Then it was time for the judges. And get this, it was a completely blind test. The musicians had no idea which tuner worked on which piano, but when they play them, every single musician chose Victor's piano, hands down. And they didn't pick it because it was louder or had sharper tension. They picked it because it had incredible warmth, perfect balance, and just life. Victor literally won the entire international competition, not by seeing more, but by listening better.
Of course, the press goes absolutely wild. Reporters are swarming him, shoving microphones in his face, asking how being blind affected his work. Victor just smiles and gives this incredible answer. It taught me to stop judging what I cannot see and start appreciating what I can. Wow, he completely flipped the narrative right there. And because of that mindset, the newspaper headline the very next day read, "The Man Who Heard Possibility." Which brings us to Section 4, the real lesson. Success versus meaning. Now, you'd probably expect a guy who just shocked the whole world to cash in, right? Maybe launch a massive tour, expand his business. But Victor, he just goes home. The very next morning, he walks up to his little workshop, unlocks the door, and gets to work on another old piano for a regular customer. Why? Because the shiny trophy was never the point for him. Doing actual, meaningful work was. He was in it for the craft, not the fame. And if you want to know what a real legacy looks like, look at Emily. Remember the discouraged teenager? Well, years later, she becomes this incredibly famous world-touring pianist. And before every single concert, she tells her young musicians exactly what Victor told her. Play with your heart. People remember feelings, not perfection. Because Victor chose to just do his quiet, meaningful work, his lesson ended up spreading like wildfire, touching thousands of lives he'd never even physically meet.
So let's tie this all back to you. I guarantee every single person watching this has something they are convinced is missing from their life. We tell ourselves, oh, I don't have enough time or money or confidence or the right connections. We treat those things like massive brick walls. But Victor's story is the ultimate proof that a limitation is only a wall if you decide it is. Sometimes your absolute greatest advantage grows in the exact place life challenged you the most. I mean, the guy never saw a sunset again, but he helped countless people hear beauty they'd totally forgotten about.
If you love this explainer and you want to keep learning how to reframe those limitations into your biggest assets, make sure you hit subscribe on Gravonix Stories. We're breaking down original, motivational deep dives just like this one every single week, and you won't want to miss them.
And before you go, let's actually lock this mindset in today. Action creates momentum, right? So head down to the comments right now and just type, "I will trust my strength." Seriously, put it in writing as a promise to yourself. Because that unique edge you've been looking for is probably hiding right inside the biggest challenge you've been trying to escape. I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on today. What gift have you been searching everywhere for that has actually been inside you all along? Don't let the world box you in by what you lack. Instead, take a page from Victor's book and go build your future with exactly what you already have. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep listening for the possibility in your own life. Catch you next time.